Okay.
5, 4, 3, 2,
Here it comes.
1. Attackers incoming.
So you threw that a little bit late. You want it. You want to throw it at 4 seconds remaining, or like 4.5, because it explodes at 5. So the doors open, they walk out, and it explodes. This might be one of the. This is silly. It's not super important, but if you want to look at those starting dynamites, there's a lot of like with on a preset nades, there's preset dynamites where you can aim at a place and it'll arc through the air, and then it'll come down on top of their heads just before it explodes. So it doesn't like it's not sitting on the ground where they can see it. You know, it comes up and goes. And I'm pretty sure there's one for King's Row. The only one I know is Volskaya First Point. But I'm just gonna watch this first fight and then I'll. Okay. Let's back up a bit. Okay. So, threw the dynamite a little late. Oh well, who cares? It's not a big deal.
Defend objective A.
Now here is the problem. So, you think there's a Widow there. That's fine. You can't duel the Widow as Ashe. I mean, I get that it's a gold Widow, so maybe you can. But like, on paper, you shouldn't win that duel, so it's kind of risky for you to peek it, you know? That said, if you think you can take it, you can. But being on the low ground here and directly behind your team is not the play. You want to be up on high grounds, creating pressure from angles. So, like, I'm not saying that this necessarily would have been safe to do in the moment, although actually I think it would have been. So let's say you set up here. You got this corner to break LOS of the Widow, and you can even hide from the Widow while still shooting the team there. Throw your dynamites this way, do damage this way, but the benefit that this angle has is you can see your team and their team. And, here, let me go up here, I think. Yeah. Okay, let's draw this out. So let's say you're here, right? Your team's here, they're there. Ooh. Know that. So they're going to come through, and they're going to push through here, or here, or here. Or presumably they can come here and push you off the high ground. Which, for the record, is the smart play. That's actually what they should be doing, is sending enough people to push you off this high ground. But they won't because it's gold. So now what happens is your team backs up, right? They push in, and now you standing here, now you're shooting in the back. They have an option of looking at your team over here now, or looking at you. But whoever they look at, the other can shoot them. This splits their attention, it's really hard to deal with, and it takes a ton of pressure off of your front line. So, like, here, we'll even watch this fight and watch how, like, how everyone flows. All of this time, if you're over there, you're doing all that damage. Look at all the damage you could be doing, all of the easy shots you could be taking, and you're hiding from that Widow, and then you're also, you know, helping your team. Now, you have to be proactive with these rotations, because you don't want to get cut off, and you don't want to get, you don't want to get cut off, and you don't want them to necessarily pressure you off of here. So you can use your shotguns to jump over here, and then you can rotate to here, or to here, or even to here. You have all of these high ground options, and you can just be rotating between them. Use your shotguns to hop that gap, and that's kind of all you need. Always be high ground. So like here again, your low ground main, you're right next to your tanks. It's really confusing. It's really hard to see everything that's going on. Like, it's hard to pick targets. You're mostly just shooting bubbles and shields. Nice dynamite through the window. I don't know if that was on purpose or lucky accident, but dynamite through window is huge. And now you get shattered because you're on the low ground, right with your front line. If you're up here, you don't get shattered and you keep shooting. If you use your shotguns and jump up here onto this, well, that's huge. This is such a good spot. And then you can jump off this way if you gotta back out. Whoop. You can come up here and be shooting here as the cart wraps around the corner. And then, whoop, rotate to here. You basically never, ever, and then jump to here even. You basically never, ever, ever have to leave the high ground. On almost any map ever. As Ashe, you should just be living there forever. Forever and ever and ever. It makes it harder for them to hit you. It makes it easier for you to land headshots. You see more. Like, it is nothing but advantages with no disadvantages. Like, be on the high ground. Always. Because, like, your aim is solid. You're doing shit tons of damage. But imagine if a lot of this damage wasn't into a Rhine shield, but was instead, like, into squishies, into their heads. Imagine if you weren't getting caught like this and dying. You would have lived all of these deaths. You would have lived if you had been high ground. Every single time you've died so far, you've died low ground, main, in the open. Play corners. Hug corners tightly on high grounds. Always, 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 always. You'll live more, you'll do more. Like, that one change with no other changes, I cannot stress this enough, will get you to climb. A lot. A lot. Yeah. The reason you're losing this game is because you're not doing enough that's meaningful. Shooting full health tanks and shooting shields, yeah, you're doing tons of damage. Like, it feels like you're doing a lot. That was good. You almost got the Moira too. But, like, that was a flank angle. And it would have been even better from the high ground like this. Nice. See? Look at this. Look at this. You had no reason to drop. Killing things, backing up. Take the high ground. Hell, even take this high ground is still a high ground. Stand here if you want to be here. Jump up onto this. Jump back up here as they start pushing up. Which is always, always, always be high ground. Not sure why your BAP wasted lamp there. That's a weird choice, but, like, doesn't matter. You personally, with your current mechanics, can be accomplishing so much more playing high grounds and corners and angles. All three of those at the same time. A high ground on a corner that is a different angle than your team. Do those three things and you will climb. And I mean like 100% of the time. There are exceptions, but they are so goddamn rare, and they're not the problem right now, is knowing when those exceptions are. The problem is not being on the high ground when you should be. To just live on the high grounds forever, and you'll learn the very rare exceptions. The very, very rare exceptions.
Nothing wrong with a little self-improvement.
Okay, so now we just really want to build Bob as quick as we can, because Bob can stall. Good Bob, but you didn't need to walk that close. Like, you keep walking into the fight where the danger is. You're a sniper. Like, you don't have quite the same range as Widow, but, like, you don't want to be in the fight. You never want to be in the fight. You want to be away from the fight at all times. You let other people touch the cart, and then you kill everything, so, like, it's actually meaningful. You going to the cart and dying doesn't help anyone. It doesn't even stall it out very long, because you're a squishy. Like, you're dead in half a second. I don't even think you touched the cart when you start running into it. But you might have been able to kill one or two more people. And getting trades, like, you have huge respawn advantage here, right? So if you can get a trade, it is a huge benefit for you. Kill 1 or 2 people, and then your respawns start coming out, their respawns take forever to get here, and that's how you can hold this, or maybe draw the fight out for a really long time with the weird staggers. Okay.
Ready
My
for
business? I get it.
You could have started on that high ground Widow platform, thrown a dynamite from there, although good dynamite. Your dynamites are good. For the most part, your dynamites are pretty huge. Don't you dare. Okay, the Ashe got you. If that Ana had 3-tapped you. Okay, you hit the trigger on that one a little too early. That would have been huge if you'd let it travel a little bit further. See. Okay. Your Junkrat already has ult because y'all are just grouped up here and he's just throwing damage into you. And it is so hard for your team to walk through this choke into all of this damage. Like, it's rough. But if you come up here, start shooting them, or actually even better, come here and start shooting them, then they start looking at you, and maybe that's enough. And if that's not enough, then you come up here and you take the flank angle. Maybe you kill that Ana. You start shooting these guys. When you're here shooting them in the back... Here. Oh, wait. Let me bird's eye view this again, I think. Boom. Okay. So you're here shooting them in the back, right? As your team walks in, you're shooting this way, they can look this way, they can look at you. Or they can back up to here where they can protect from all of it. So their only good option is to back up, which means your team gets to walk in. That's what creating these angles does for you. That is why it is so important for the DPS, the off tanks, to be taking angles like this, because this is how you help your front line walk in. You have to get at least 2 people to turn and look at you, or kill at least 1 person, or get them all to back up to avoid those other 2 scenarios. If one of those 3 things isn't happening, you're not getting enough value on this angle. Whoop. Okay, you were, yep. Said, at least you're high ground. I would be, like right now it looks like you're about to hit the Moira, but this Ana is half health behind. You get the headshot on that Ana, she's dead. You get the opening pick right there. I would also be looking to pick the Junkrat as soon as possible because he's what's making this hell. Good kill on the Moira. It's just kind of weird that you missed the Ashe, or the Ana, that was the even easier kill. But see, you're shooting shields. Like, it's easy for them to hide from everyone and protect from everyone because you're just here with your team. The only DPS that want to be right there with their tanks are Sim and Mei. Sim and Mei should be playing right behind the Reinhardt, usually. Or often enough, anyway. But, like, that's not you. Died low ground main again.
Time to change things up.
3 minutes left? Okay. Yeah. Problem is, I would probably have a lot more to talk about and a lot more to give you, but so much stems from the initial positioning issues. Once you fix those, I'll have a lot more to talk about, I'm sure. So I would love to see another VOD from you where you are playing high grounds and corners the entire game. Get me one of those, and I bet I'll have a ton for you. That said, it might be a while before you get a close loss if you're playing high grounds and angles and corners the entire time. Like, it does so much. Main thing I've noticed is not utilizing hipfire, almost exclusively ADS. Oh yeah, that's actually a good point. I've been so focused on your positioning, I haven't even been like looking at your mechanics. So ADS does more damage in a burst, but hipfire does more damage per second. Like you can fire faster. 2 shots are pixel perfect. After that, you start getting spread. So there is a pattern a lot of Ashes like to use, which is you doink the headshot, and then you do 2 quick unscopes immediately after, because they're pixel perfect, and if you get a headshot on a squishy, the unscoped is faster, and an unscoped body shot will kill a 200 HP hero that you already hit the headshot on. So ADS for your headshots, and the second you doink one, tap tap, really fast. Unscoped, just pop pop, get the body shots. If the first one misses, the second one hopefully won't. And you can follow up on your own kills much faster than trying to hit a second ADS. That said, sometimes if like they're far away, the ADS is the option because like it can be easier to land at distances. Also, if you're doing just hip fire, you run out of ammo faster, and reloading for Ashe is a pain in the ass. So like there are factors to consider. But sometimes, like if there's a ball point blank in front of you, you just unload the hip fire into them. It's more damage. Stuff like that. That was Shell Donnie Jones. Thanks for that. Nice kill. Okay. And you die low ground main with your tanks. I bet if you go through your games, you will find nearly every single time you die, if not every single time you die, you are low ground main. Almost every single time, every single game, you're low ground main. Just not being there means you'll live more. Living more means you do more. Doing more means you win more. Like, cause and effect. So, Bob too. Part of why Bob is so powerful is because he is a free angle. You put him wherever you want there to be another angle, and now you have it. And like, if they turn to deal with Bob, they're not dealing with your team. If they turn to deal with your team, they're not dealing with Bob. And it's really, really hard for them. So, rather than bobbing right then, you come up here to these high grounds, and you send your Bob right here. And now, Bob is shooting them in the back, so they have to back up to here, and then Bob is still shooting them and is still pressuring them all the way out here even. Pushes them completely off the point, or they have to come deal with the Bob right here, and if they're looking right here, they're not looking at this. Don't send your Bob into the front line. Send it into the back line, behind them. You could be up on top of the statue. You could be up where that Junkrat was, top right. Yeah. You hit your shots, but there's so much more to DPS than that. And unfortunately, that's kind of all you're doing right now, is hitting your shots. You don't die excessively for this rank, but you do die excessively for any rank above. Because ranks above this, they're playing corners at least. Diamond, they're playing high grounds. If you just start playing those high grounds and corners now, climb so easy. So easy. Yep, and away this goes. Okay.
We're all soldiers now.
And boom. Yeah. Get me another VOD where you're playing high grounds and corners all the time, and I bet I will have a lot more to talk about. Okay. Alright, we're gonna do the anatomy of a fight. Give me 1 second, chat. Let me just get set up here. Okay. Let's think of a map. I guess we could do Scrims Row, because that's popular enough. Yeah, let's do Scrims. Okay. Da, da, da.
Now entering